You ready to go fishing?
Yeah.
Say yeah!
Yeah.
Let's go fishing.
You don't stand for anything, to justify your indifference. You say something and do nothing. You say something and do nothing.
Hi folks, and welcome back to another episode of WB Dynamite Fishing. If you didn't already know, it's been a couple weeks since I put out a video. I've been recovering from knee surgery, so it's been rough getting out on the boat or doing anything that was kind of productive. I did happen to get out to a couple of ponds that I was capable of walking around once I was able to. Got out to the lake yesterday with a buddy. Got out on the lake with my dad, took my son out a little bit, but it was more a time to relax, not so much to go out and hard fish. But now we're back at it. We're trying to get on some bigger fish, and we got some good stuff for you here. Alright guys, we're going to go into your bait of the week, bait breakdown. This week, starting back this week, we got something that I haven't really used a whole lot up until this year, but I found it very useful, and it's come in handy. Last year I didn't get the opportunity or have as much confidence in it, and you really don't throw a lot of stuff that you're not confident with. I don't keep it in my tackle box if I'm not confident with it. This year I've built a lot of confidence with this rig. It's been nice, it's been super good, and I think it's altogether something that you're going to want to add to your tackle. If you don't already have it, then maybe we can give you some different ways to use it. Got the Wacky rig, super simple, soft plastic bait on a circle hook, and if you can see it there, got a little circle weight on top of it. You can buy these hooks anywhere. You can get a regular circle hook, run it weightless if you really want to. It's really hard to throw in wind that way. This gives it the extra oomph to get out where I need it to go. A little weed guard, very suggested this time of year, especially. There's a lot of grass growing. You don't want to get caught up in that trying to use this free hook if you're not using a weed guard. The weed guard's very good. The line I'm running with this right now is currently just 15-pound test fluorocarbon, hooked as a leader, and it's hooked to some 15-pound test braid on the other end, which is a great combo in my mind. This line gets a little frayed going through the grass, but I can retie easily as it is right there. You can see where I've used it, and the line's already fraying up. So, you know, this is good for thick grass situations, a good presentation for these fish, and most of the time they're not used to seeing this. People don't use this as often in my experience. I haven't seen a whole lot of people using this. You lose the worm really easily sometimes, but the bite's phenomenal on it, especially this time of year, getting down deep in the grass. This bait will come and sit right on top of the grass. It'll present well and make a great action for the top of the grass. It can sneak down inside of the grass. It's a great tool this time of the year, specifically one of my favorite baits right now. The easy use of this is something as simple as casting out and doing one long pull up. I got some video after this of how I'm using it, which is throwing it out, trying to keep it close to the bottom, working the rod a little with your wrist to give it a little more action in the water, allowing it to pump up and down as it's going up. And most of your bites will come on the fall. When this weight's going down, it has a great action in the water with this specific worm, which we'll get into in a second. Has great action in the water, and these fish just tear it up. It's been awesome this part of the year for me. Like I said, the only downfall to this is you can lose that worm pretty easily, and you can go with a different setup and use the little Wacky rig rubber bands, but I prefer not to use them. The presentation this way has been more successful. I have those bands, I've used them, haven't had as much success with it, so I prefer to do it this way. I'd rather lose a few worms to get the bite. It's been worth it. Where you're going to use this, you can use it in many situations. You can cast it right off the bank. Most of the times you want to hit those ledges with this. You want to hit those grassy, lower grassy areas where those fish are actually holed up this midsummer time of the year. It's great for that. It works those fish out. It's completely different presentation than a Texas rigworm, which is what a lot of people are throwing right now, which isn't a bad call either, but this is something that's throwing the fish off, and honestly, the past few fishing trips I've had have been amazing with this. And what worm I'm using for that setup right there is a good old Yum Dinger Carolina pumpkin chartreuse, excuse me. We'll pull one out of the bag here just so you can see one fresh. It's a natural color to a worm. It's got a chartreuse tip on it. Those fish absolutely tear this up. This is a little, how big is this one? Let me look. A little 4-inch. It's small. Nothing big at all. They make bigger ones. I couldn't find them in the Yum Dingers, so went to Cabela's and ran across some bigger ones here. This is the typical size that I've seen work better, and this is from the old Bass Pro Shop Tournament series. Never used them before, but we're gonna get on them here. It's got a lot bigger of a size, a little 6-inch setup here, and it's called Sticko Worm. But you can see how that sits in my hand right there. That's how it's going to sit on that hook. It's got a lot of good wiggle to it. When it flutters down in the water, it's going to do the same thing, except for it's going to be a lot lighter than it is in my hand. Great colors there. That's my favorite. That's my go-to favorite color for this time of the year. Depending on the lighting situation, you can change up to something that's still natural, and it's still got that chartreuse tail. If you get a little low light situation, you might want to break out these. I didn't even open this pack. Break out these guys right here. This is another Yum Dinger. Say the color here in just a second. This is a 5-inch green pumpkin chartreuse. A little different color you got on that one. A little darker profile. Still got the chartreuse tail. It's a little bit lighter than the other one. A little bit darker, excuse me. A little bit darker than the other one. So it's going to help you in those low light situations. Cloud cover, murky water. You know, just something that's to use at that point in time. And my best low light, murky water, cloudy sky, most favorite one, murky water especially, brings this one out. This is a Yum 5-inch Dinger black blue swirl. This is a great package. I love this worm. I used it early spring a lot. It's just a black and blue swirl. Nothing special about it except for the presentation. You get a different presentation, and that wiggle right there, that's what you want in the water. I love that. Different presentation rather than a Texas rigworm, which is what a lot of people are throwing, like I said. So you're getting away from that, using something completely different. You're giving the bait a good presentation, and when it hits that grass, it's not necessarily going to dip down into it. It's going to sit on top of it. You might find a hole in it while you're working it, which makes it simple. Those fish are going to see this from a mile away and come up and get it. And I had a good fishing trip yesterday using this primarily and wearing fish out on it. They were hitting it like it was a crankbait, which was awesome. A good day of fishing. Super simple setup, super cheap. These Yum Dingers run about $3 a pack. The hooks that I have, these circle hooks with these circle weights on top, are a little more expensive. They're $5. They're like roughly $1 a piece. $5 for a 5-pack. The ones I bought this time. I'm gonna run into some different ones when I run across them. We'll let you know what we're using, but I wanted to make sure I had a really good setup for starting out with this so I can see if it really worked. Usually running this on a medium light rod with a good tip, because they can still peck at this like they would a simple Texas rigworm. They'll peck out a little bit and then they'll run with it. But we'll have a little more breakdown in the video. You guys enjoy the rest of the video. Hopefully these fish are good enough. We'll have a little talk through on this bait as I'm working it on the video. And if there's any questions, leave it in the comments, and like and subscribe. Enjoy. Alright, it's the first cast of a good pond breakdown for me. I was using a wacky rig right here on a bait caster. That's how versatile this bait is. Simply great in this pond water. They haven't seen anything like it. You notice right there, I'm not using much of a long pull, but that last bump was a pretty long pull to get that bait up out of the water and allow it to fall a little farther to get some fish attention. This is how I love to work this rig. It's worked great for me. Right here you'll see a fish miss it and then comes back for it. That's how bad he wanted it.
Get on up here, girl. Yes. This is what we came here for. Heck yeah.
That's a really easy way to work
That's
this
a
bait.
big one.
Take it and a few soft pulls, one long pull at the end, let it fall. The fish will bite on the way down. You're doing those small bumps on the way up to get the worm working the way it's hanging on that hook to get it to work on the way up. Maybe you'll get a bite on the way up. Most of them come on the way down, but sometimes you get them on the way up as well.
Look at that fish, boys. Look at that beautiful fish. Good night.
Completely different lake, using almost the same exact method here. I'm running it on a little bit lighter line, a little bit lighter pole. The one I showed you guys in this video today actually. Had some really good luck on this lake. Fish fast, fish hard, and came back and was using a little bit slower pull technique. A little lower in the water. These fish were deeper here. It was a lot deeper. So I didn't want to get it off the bottom as much. Slow pulling, reeling back in.
Probably not bluegill. Probably a wacky rig or
Couple of slow pulls and that fish had already gotten it on the way down.
He threw more in Goomer. He hit hard, at least. I don't know if he's big.
These fish on this day happened to be hitting this wacky rig particularly hard. It was almost as if you were throwing a crankbait at them. So it was hard to put down, almost impossible to put down. But if you work this rig this way, you're going to have great success. You can work it many other ways. You can do it the long pull. Those are the two ways I enjoy working it, and I hope it helps out for you to work your wacky rig and catch fish just like I accomplished.
You done playing with that bobber yet? You gonna start a shit show? How about that? Pretty. Look at that. I mean, we caught some without color and then catch them dudes right there and they full of it.
Alright folks, this has been another great episode of WB Dynamite Fishing. I hope the information we put out today was helpful. The wacky rig setup's pretty great for this time of the year. I hope you guys can go out there and slay them with them. Until next time, please hit that like, subscribe button, turn on your notifications, leave some comments in the section if you need some information on this wacky rig setup, and we'll get it to you. Thank y'all for watching.
You don't stand for anything. You just